Quick disclaimer before we start: all teams created by Nelson that are in Madden as well as college football, you can download, and the username that you need in order to download it will be in the description below. So make sure you check that out. You can put in that username, and when you do, all of his teams will show up. Thank you.
Can they take the lead on this drive?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans by the fans, and I'm very happy today. We got a bit of a different video here on the CFL teams and the creator of the CFL teams in college football 25 and now Madden 25. Nelson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. It's great to be here and always great to talk football.
Absolutely. Now, it's funny because I mean, a few years ago, we hear about kind of this announcement of the college game. I had not always played Madden growing up, but I'd always played the NHL games, and they have the creation zone in that, which isn't the greatest creation zone in the world, but it's a pretty decent one nonetheless.
Yeah.
But then I hear about Team Builder coming out for the NCAA game, and just they're going to have the ability to upload logos, all that sort of stuff. Was that kind of when you kind of thought about doing what you've done?
So this goes back to 2004 for me. Madden 2004 is the first game that I modded. Because on the PC, it just used to be a bunch of PNG files, and you had access to all those files, and you could add your own logos and do whatever you wanted, and there were roster editors. So this is something I've been doing since 2004, so this marks 20 years for me, and it's a great way to reprise kind of CFL in video games.
Yes, which it's funny because I feel like every once in a while I always hear someone kind of mention about, oh, there should be a CFL video game, there should be something in that regard, and the fact of the matter is that unless they combine with the UFL or combine with Madden in a capacity that was never going to happen, so something like this kind of needed to be the approach.
A crazy story about that, and the statute of limitations is lifted on this, so I can talk about it now. In 2008, I signed an NDA with the league where they were going to explore the possibility of doing a video game.
This is with CFL.
This was with the CFL.
Gotcha.
And that ended up going, a couple emails back and forth, and then the league kind of scrapped the whole idea, and we didn't hear from anyone else anymore. So the closest we ever got was Madden 16.
Yep.
The mobile version had some CFL legends in it.
Yep.
And then Maximum Football over and above that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I actually eventually was going to have some questions about that new Maximum Football coming out, and because I know that you've done the work creating the CFL teams in College Football 25, which is now out. And I know if you haven't finished it, I know Madden is now, I think you were doing Madden as well. Is that correct? Madden 25?
I'm doing Madden right now. With Madden, I'm taking a bit of a different approach because you can edit the rosters before you release the teams, and I can edit the rosters before I release the teams. So I have all the artwork done. Right now, they're all kind of the same team, and I am redoing the rosters as we speak. BC's 100% done. Calgary's 100% done. And my goal is to release it as just one big package of 9.
Oh, I see. So I had kind of a few questions about that and a few about College Football 25. So on College Football 25, one of the limitations they have outside Dynasty mode is the ability to change the names of these players. Is that something that is available in Madden or no?
In Madden, yeah, from the get-go, we can have CFL's players' names in there.
I see.
What I am noticing, though, is certain things EA might flag as derogatory. So, example, Frankie Hickson, EA is picking up on the word hick as being in his name. So he's currently sitting in Saskatchewan's roster as Frankie H.
So are you able to even do like with like an L in the place of an I or something like that? I guess you might be able to, but that kind of,
Yeah, and
yeah.
like so Percival Molson Stadium, and this goes for both NCAA and Madden.
Yep.
Um, they didn't like the word Molson because they obviously associate that with beer. So in the game, it is Percival M Stadium.
I see. So just certain limitations in that regard. But you are
Yeah.
actually able to have those players named on Madden 25?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so
The
that's
players will be named in Madden 25. They'll have their
that's
full
nice.
slate of ratings as they do in NCAA.
Interesting. And so that kind of leads us to our first. It's funny. I was gonna say fan question, but this is actually from a CFL player. This is actually from. I believe you're a Saskatchewan fan. That's correct.
Yeah.
This is actually from your writers. AJ Allen, linebacker, had asked, what was kind of the process in coming up with those ratings?
The process in coming up with the ratings is first of all finding some parallels and kind of trying to do it in real time with the season because we're fortunate enough the CFL's played half a season already.
Yep,
We can kind of grade these players based on how they're playing right now.
I
And
see.
that's one of the beauties of Madden is they update the ratings as the season goes along. So, if Patrick Mahomes, who's already a 99 overall, has a bad game, he might drop to a 98,
Yep,
right? So that was kind of the fun part, right? Vernon Adams, the highest rated player in the game at the time of doing the ratings.
yeah,
And you kind of go from there and you try to find, who's the best running back in the NFL or who is the best running back in college football
I see.
in these years. And then you go, okay, who's currently leading the league and who kind of averaged out last season. Um, and then you build the ratings based on that.
I
And then
see.
you tweak them based on personality, right? So AJ Olette is a bit more of a power back to a Brady Oliveira, who's kind of a balanced back. And then you have your speed backs, your Frankie Hicksons of the world, right?
I see. I see. Yeah. So with that, basically kind of finding comparisons between them and some of these NFL players, and then at that point, just kind of almost looking at maybe some of their stats and their position within the CFL and a comparable player in the NFL that's maybe in a similar position. Is that kind of
That's exactly it.
okay? I see.
That's exactly it. Um, and then, if they had a tryout in the NFL or they went to the combine, you're able to find their 40 times online.
Oh, there you
So
go.
you can kind of calculate acceleration and speed burst that
Wow.
way
So you really go real in depth
as
with this.
well. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a spreadsheet with every player in the CFL in it and
Wow.
every rating, which I think it's like 20, 25 to 30 different things that Madden
Yep.
and college football rate the players on. Uh, every player got one of those, right down to, you know, uh, Jeshrin Antwi.
Yep.
Well, his punting, because of the dribble kick, his punting rating is higher than any other running back or receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And now, one of the things you mentioned was kind of how in Madden they obviously they tweak these rosters after they come out initially. Obviously, I know with changes originally you had come out with just the teams and their looks, and then afterwards you went in and you made the changes with their numbers and with some of the attributes, and then afterwards people could re-download those teams and overwrite their previous ones, and that should update
Yeah.
it when it comes to say performance throughout the CFL season. Are you planning on doing any like roster updates where you go through what you've created essentially and tweaking ratings and making certain players get a bit of a buff or a nerf, get a little better or worse?
I haven't really made that decision yet.
That's fair. It's probably a
I
lot of
think that's
work.
gonna. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The especially Madden because I type everybody's name and weight and height
Yeah.
in. Um, the Madden process has been a lot more time consuming. So I haven't made that decision yet. I want to, and I've gone back into the NCAA side of things, and Nathan Rourke's in the game, Chad Kelly's in the game now, um, in starting positions.
Yeah.
So, those major changes, I have to go back and do Austin Mack for Montreal, but those major changes are going to happen around NFL cut season, and I'll be releasing updates along with those.
I see. I see. Yeah.
But tweaking the ratings as the season goes, uh, I don't
Just maybe
necessarily
here and
know.
there.
And I think,
That's fair.
if the CFL was a little bit more public with their pro football focus stuff, and
Yeah.
not just releasing a top 10 or a best at every position style, I might have a little bit more of a bearing to go on where I don't have to develop my own system on, well, this player played great in week 11 and then sucked in week 12. So what does that change the
It's probably
rating to,
less
right?
less searching for those answers, so you get those answers a little bit quicker. That would probably speed up the process, I imagine, if you had access
Exactly.
to those statistics. Yeah,
Exactly.
I see. Now, Rick, I think you had some.
So I do have a question. This is for the whole Madden side. So I've done this ever since 2019 when Madden 2019 came out. So there was custom rosters back in 2019, but my first question is, in Madden 24 or 23, you could make custom teams, but you would still have that previous team's like scoreboard, arenas, stuff
Mhm.
in 22, 23. Is that, do you still have to deal with that in 25 or no?
So there's far less stadiums in the team builder for Madden. I think there's only 6 or 8 stadiums, and it's like you get a futuristic style stadium, you get a classic stadium, you get a dome with a canopy, and then you get like a Rogers Center style dome open, dome
So these are
closed.
just
Uh,
generic stadiums
and they're just
available.
generic. You don't even get to pick from the NFL stadiums. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't necessarily know what they're going to do with advertisements around the stadium in that case.
Well, no, what I meant to say was, like, if you were, say, to go replace like the New York Giants, like you would
Yeah,
have like the New York Giants fans wearing their merch and like the coach wearing the New York
no.
Giant, the
So in
hats
this
and
case,
everything.
yeah, so in this case, um, crowd color is an option inside a team builder for
Okay,
both
that's good.
Madden and NCAA. And you can pick between 2 colors. So if you're doing the Ticats, you can pick between black and white or black and gold. And then there's a slider on, you know, if you occasionally you see more black in the crowd than gold or more black than white, you can adjust for that, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So at Rider games, there's tons of green, and tons of obsidian green now this season. So my plan for Madden is to make a Rider green and an obsidian green option, and kind of work between those sliders.
I see. I see. Now, one thing I did want to ask about a little bit, besides the college and Madden, a game that's going to be eventually, I believe early access starts around September or something like that, is going to be kind of the long-awaited Maximum Football that is being the new Maximum Football that's been in
Mm-hmm.
development for quite a long time. They did their beta, I think, just around a month ago or something like that. I checked it out. It's going to be kind of a game known for kind of its customization options. And I
Mm-hmm.
could be wrong, but I believe sharing your custom teams is an option in that game. I can't confirm that, but I've heard that
Yep.
that is a possibility. So I wanted to know kind of your 2 cents on that, and if kind of what you've done, if you're just going to kind of stick to the EA side of things, or if this is something that you might dive into. Just curious.
So my history with Maximum Football goes back to 2020. Um, I simulated a whole CFL season using Doug Maximum Football 2020. and we broadcast that on the Rod Peterson show,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
to fill the void of having a lost season. The CFL picked us up for Grey Cup Unite Week.
I see. I see.
Um, and so my history with Maximum Football goes back to 2020. Unfortunately, um, David Winter, who was the head of the development there, sold that to a company in the States, and they've stripped the Canadian element right out of the game.
Oh,
Um, so if you're buying it hoping it still has Canadian rules in it, unfortunately it doesn't.
I think it's free. I thought.
And
I could be wrong.
that whole they might be releasing it for free.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if you're going into it thinking that it has Canadian rules, unfortunately it no longer does. And that kind of soured me that the new development team took that out of it. So my plan is to stick on the EA side of things.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's definitely. Although I will say, it's definitely been quite a massive improvement that what they've done
Oh
with
yeah,
EA
it
in
looks
the sense of
outstanding.
that. For a while, I mean, I just it was kind of the 2K games that had been able to have the logo import, and it looked
Mhm.
like it was it was seemingly was never coming to EA, but they finally have that in their game. So when it comes to maybe future EA games, whether that's a future NCAA game or a future Madden game, is this something where you're going to kind of stick with Madden 25 and College Football 25, or are you going to kind of put that into future games when that comes out, or is that more of a thing of that's a that's a question for the future Nelson and not current Nelson?
Um, I don't know. I think so. The fun thing about Team Builder is I don't even have to have the game to go in and create teams and release them.
That's a good
So
point.
it's not like I'm going to drop, $200 a year to keep redoing this. If I want to do it for 26 and they have Team Builder in both versions of 26, um, I'm going to do it because that's that's part of fandom, and it's pretty much the only way we're going to get a CFL video game at this point.
Yeah. Is there anything else you
But
have
I
there?
mean, even if you wanted to, like, I'm not gonna lie, I will end up going out and getting Madden, and like I was telling Carter beforehand, even if you put out all 9 teams, obviously you can't put all 9 teams in the same division and whatnot, but you can still trade and move players in the main menu. So
Yeah,
even come February when free agency happens and stuff like that, you could still technically go back to main menu, move the players around, and then start a new franchise with the rosters. I mean, yeah, you would have to create, a player or
yeah,
two or something like that. But I mean, until next year's game comes out, if you ended up doing it or whoever did it, that could keep you busy between February and
oh
they
yeah,
come out what, August of next year. So it's not even
yeah,
like you need, like you said, you could go and you don't even need the game, so you could go and update them, and you don't even need to buy like if I'll just use you as an example, Nelson. If there was say 2026 and there's it's just as people call it an updated version of the rosters and that's it. Well, it's like, well, no, I'm not forced to go buy 26 because all I got to do is create a few players in 25 and keep 25.
exactly. And for the people that do buy 26, I think I'm still going to do 26, but you hit the nail on the head, right? Um, I can make all the changes we need to make to positions and numbers, and we can import rookies into the game and free agent signings and people that make the team out of camp. Like we can do all that stuff in 25 and we can do it in 26 if, I want to commit to that or start to kind of build a team around committing to that objective. So, yeah, I'm down to do this for as long as I can. I haven't owned um, like Madden 19, Madden 20. Madden 21. I didn't own those, but there was still a PC mod for those games that I contributed to, be it artwork or roster files. So
Hmm.
there's communities of people that do this, and we can kind of build a community that keeps college football or Madden alive for every year moving forward from this point on.
There you go.
So I got an interesting question for you. What would you say was harder, doing the ratings or doing the equipment and likeness for the players for Madden?
Um, the ratings, so much math goes into the ratings, and I mean, I'm a data science guy, so maths, I have fun doing this kind of stuff, but
Hmm.
the ratings are way harder. It's like to just imagine like how fast Javon Leak is. Well, he's faster than Tyreek Hill, but we can only go to a certain level of speed. Um, those types of things, and how does Trevor Harris scan the field versus how Jake Dolegala scans the field. All of that logic has to go into how you make the ratings, or it's not going to feel realistic to people, right?
Yeah.
We can rate everybody 80 overall, but
It's not realistic.
there's no fun in that,
Yeah.
right? What makes Vernon Adams a 97 versus Cody Fajardo, who's a 95 or 94, right? Right now.
Yeah.
Those type of logic make it way harder versus Googling a photo of the player, having my laptop on the couch and thumbing through. This guy wears a visor. He wears his towel on his left side. He
Yeah.
Yeah.
spats his shoes, right?
Yeah. No,
N
it's
n Now, when it comes to the NCAA game, how, because obviously for those people that don't know, you have players on there for 4 years, technically five if you redshirt them. So
Mm-hmm.
when it was coming to creating player rosters for the game, how did, like, what came into the determination of, okay, this person's a freshman, this person's a sophomore, this guy's gonna be junior, this one's gonna be senior.
So for the benefit of playing through a franchise, kind of the players that are, I'll call it moonlighting their career or sunsetting their career. You think about a guy like Trevor Harris who might only have this might be it for him. If he gets hurt later in this season, God forbid, he might only have 1 or 2 years left in the tank. He's a sophomore, um, right? Anyone else is a freshman. That way you can play the game and you can kind of work through a full franchise with that team.
you're actually able to have kind of these players stick around for a few years instead of immediately loading it
Exactly.
up into dynasty mode and everyone's gone after one season. So
Where the beauty of Madden is that's not a worry.
yeah,
So
that's definitely probably the appeal with Madden, definitely.
mhm.
So with Madden, um, I know that I saw kind of you put out a few tweets about kind of some of the difficulties that Madden has provided. It was so was it more so like was there any different major differences in how you created the player likenesses besides just the stadiums themselves? Created like the jerseys or the helmets. Were there anything majorly different on the Madden team builder?
um so NCAA has more portrait options. So, I'm able to find a guy with the hairstyle and beard style of AJ Oled in NCAA. Doesn't exist in the Madden team builder. Everybody's bald. It's terrible.
Oh,
um, and then when it comes to equipment, and this is kind of similar to the CFL, because the NCAA has so many license agreements with Nike and Under Armour and Adidas,
oh, I
and
see.
the NFL is strictly Nike, there's a lot more equipment options inside of NCAA. And the CFL right now, you know, new era is the sideline apparel only.
Yeah.
So guys are allowed to wear Nike shoes or Adidas shoes for whatever they feel comfort. Um, and they're allowed to have different styles of gloves. So that leans a little bit more to the NCAA side when you have options. And then the whole crop top jersey thing, which Joe is trying to bring in here in Saskatchewan, you can do that in NCAA, not an option in Madden. So
Interesting.
uh, I feel like the players have a little bit more personality in the NCAA version of the game than they do in the Madden version of the game, even though they have their name.
I see. Is there anything that you else that you had, Rick?
No, I'm just playing along with the rosters on my other screen as
Fair
you guys are
enough. Yeah,
talking.
no, I definitely was absolutely thrilled when I first heard that that someone was doing this, just because it was one of those things where originally I was like, I'm gonna have to do it myself and this and that. So I think,
And it's funny because there's lots of versions of the CFL teams out
yeah,
there. But where I'll pride myself on is like the fine details, especially on the NCAA side of things, where I have, you know, enough layers to build all of Montreal's New Jersey and put the LCF
yeah,
logo on the collar.
I saw that you put that out real quick.
Yeah.
That looks excellent, by the way. I took a
It
look at
was,
that
oh,
and was like,
thank you.
wow. I was
Appreciate
like
it.
that.
Um,
It's crazy how close
but
that you've been able to get.
there's tons of versions of these teams, and you go through and you preview them, and you're like, well, this is wrong about this, or they used a black face mask instead of a white face mask. They put a different logo in the end zone, and I mean, it's a creator, so by all means, do whatever you want with it. But I pride myself on trying to get as accurate as I can inside the bounds of what the games are giving me.
Absolutely. I think that's probably everything we had. Rick, was there anything else that you had?
Not with me, but I know what I'm doing later.
I see. Well, I might have to play a little bit more of that later. Nelson, is there anything you have to say to all the wonderful people?
Thanks a
Anything?
lot for all the support. You know, we just passed 8,500 downloads
Wow.
today, and appreciate podcasts like this for having me on. So
Well, not
appreciate
a
it.
problem, man. I know me and Rick especially really appreciate all the work and all the time you've been putting in. I can't even imagine how many hours it's taken to put all of this together on not just one game but multiple games. And it's one of those things. A lot of people have been wanting to play some Canadian football in the video game format for a long time now, and I think you're finally giving people the opportunity to do that. So I really appreciate everything you've been doing for the CFL community.
I was just gonna add this in because I was just down before this video started, I was just downloading the updated rosters. I cannot believe of how quick this picked up. Like you already have what did I say? Montreal, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan already has like 1K downloads already.
Yeah,
That's
Like it's
crazy.
like it's just ridiculous like of how quick something like
it
this can take
it's
off.
I posted that video where I was just scrolling through the select a team
Yep.
on NCAA, and that took off like wildfire. That has 114,000 views on X. So,
It's even more now. It is 145,000 views. I have it pulled up right here. That exact tweet you're talking about.
yeah.
145,000 views, over 1,000 likes, 53 comments, and 98 reposts. That is ridiculous for anything CFL
And
related.
that was one of those. I woke up one morning and decided I'm going to put this out there and see where it goes. And yeah, turn the notifications off on my phone.
Absolutely. No, I can't
So
imagine. No. It's funny. It's one of those things I hardly imagined you getting any sleep with how much time you're spending as is. You gotta be able to get what you can.
I
Um,
got to go actually play the game though.
yeah,
So
you earned it, man. You
I
did.
haven't. I've hardly played it at all. I've been spending all my time creating for it, and I think I have like 20 hours logged total into both Madden and NCAA, and probably 18 of that is like going through depth charts and going through equipment and kind of trying to find the limitations of the game. So
absolutely. So go through and play it and have some fun. Have the fun that we've been having on that. And also it might even help you as well. Maybe give you almost one of those things you might pick up on things. Who knows?
And the interesting thing is with NCAA, for those that don't know, if you don't play your players right, they can transfer in the offseason, and good luck trying to lose some of your good players in the offseason.
But you can turn that off too. So
that's
there
true.
You go.
That's no fun though. It kind of makes it feel like the CFL with the transfer portal on, where you can have like these 1-year contracts and a bunch of guys switching.
Well,
teams.
so that's the thing. That's how I look at NCAA's. You can look at the portal like free agency. B, the recruiting you can look at as like the CFL draft, because players come for like 5 years and then they move on.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate.
Absolutely. So I think that's pretty much all we had. Again, thank you, Nelson, for giving us your time. Really, really appreciate that. Answering some of the people's questions, asking one of the players' questions. I think you'll be happy to hear about all that. We all appreciate everything you've been doing. So again, thank you for all of that. And for everyone at home, make sure you guys check out his Twitter. I'll make sure to have the link to that in the description below, so you can see if he's got any sort of updates or anything on all the stuff he's creating. As it seems, you post pretty much everything over on Twitter or X whenever you get
Twitter and Reddit.
Twitter and Reddit. There we go. So make sure you guys check that out. Also make sure you guys leave a like on the video if you have not already. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Helps out the channel a ton. And we will see all you wonderful people next time.
Touchdown!